This is Ryan Black, and we're going to be taking a look at linking and rebuilding the audio in Pro Tools. This issue occurs when you open up a session and a dialog comes up that says you have missing audio assets. Here's the basic walkthrough of what we're going to do. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, go for it now. This is everything you'll need to do to complete this short assignment. Jumping over here, I've built this session that has some issues involved in it, and wrote a little music for it. And we have mystery folders, and all the audio files you need are in these mystery folders, but they might be called weird things, like 123 and 123, right, left. What are those? Etc. etc. So some of them have been relabeled, renamed the actual file, and some of them are the correct name, but they're just in the wrong location. They're in these folders instead of the audio files folder. So everything is here, but it's just not working. The Pro Tools session gives us this error. 12 audio files, blah, 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 are missing. Would you like to relink? And don't choose automatically. This can cause issues, especially if you have files and tracks that haven't been named. Manually find and relink is great. And if you hit skip all, you can also come up here to the window command and open, I believe it's a new workspace, which will then allow you to open the session file browser that we are going to see right here. Now, if you get a session from a client, it is very possible, or if you're giving a session to someone, but if there's missing files, it's very possible you, as the engineer, have a good idea of where they are located. They may be on a hard drive, an external hard drive. They may be in another folder for another session. In this case, it thinks it's this folder, but you can see inside of this Pro Tools session, we don't see those mystery file folders. So it's not there. So Pro Tools is misguessing where this might be. And in fact, I have to go through a series of folders to get to that session folder. Now, you don't have to do this, but this top part defines where Pro Tools will look for the file. And if you have a lot of files, this can save a lot of time. So it's always a good idea to know where you're looking. In this case, I know I'm going to a Pro Tools session. I know where I've saved the general session, and it should have all of our audio files. Hey, look, there it is. It's my copy of this assignment, and we have these 3 folders. Now, you could also just select this higher folder here, and it would look in all of these folders. But for our purposes, I know it's there somewhere. So we're going to find some links. Now, I can choose a file here. This file right here, bass with a little wobble, bass little wob, is in the session. But if you look at the Pro Tools session here at the bottom of the screen, you can see these light blue clips, not regions anymore. Light blue clips cannot find their audio assets. They know what they're supposed to be, but they can't find the file, and that's because they've been moved. So what we will do is we'll select one of these, and we'll say Find Links. This box allows us to define how Pro Tools now looks for those links. Does it look just by the name? Well, that's great if we're 100% sure it's not changed its name. Do we look by the file ID, which is the internal ID that this unique ID here that Pro Tools or that the computer has assigned that specific file? That is a very broad search with a very specific answer. There's only one file on your computer that will have this. Or do you search by both, which means it has to match both? In general, I find searching by file ID gives the correct answer most often. You don't get false positives. For example, if you have multiple files that are called Vocal 1 or Audio 1 if you haven't relabeled tracks. When you do find by name, you can literally find hundreds of files if you don't know where this file is or if you're searching an entire hard drive. But you will not usually find that by file ID. And then this one's more specific, and so you could use that as well. In this case, though, if it's been renamed, it won't find it. So find by file ID, and then we're going to match format and match duration. Sometimes you may not match format if you think that the person might have exported it as like a WAV file and you are using AIF files, or maybe it's from an older Pro Tools session. It's a Sound Designer file, Sound Designer 2 file. So there are reasons you may or may not do this, but generally this is going to hone it into the correct thing. So here we go. We hit OK. It finds a file. Great. Now we have this. You see this orange right here links to this file. It says, hey, this matches those criterias. And then up here at the top left, we click Commit Links. This cannot be undone. Once you commit this link, it's going to be there. So you hit Commit Links. It says, do you want to do it? You go, yes. And you move on. It's looking for Broken Pianos 1 and 2. We find the links. We look by the file ID. Boom. Now you can see this could take a while if you do one by one. But I personally prefer to do it this way than to do like a big find and then I have to search through that, or to go in and try to find them individually by hand. So I'm just finding each of these. I'm looking to see this drum pop kick here. This is not a stereo file. So I'm not going to shift click something else. I'm just going to click that one, hit find links. Boom, and it should give me a mono file. If you're interested in making sure it's the right file, you can expand the SMPTE ID number here, and you can actually play that file. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like the right kick. Yeah, halftime. Cool. So if you're looking and you do have a bunch of files and they're all called Audio 1, you can check it that way. You can commit the link. Boom. And I'll just fly through these a little faster, I think. Oh, sometimes on stereo files, you don't see it down here exactly. So you'll hit find link, and it finds a link, but it doesn't show it. If you click on each half of a stereo file, because stereo files are 2 mono files just independently routed to your left and right speakers or headphones, you can see that link, and it will link as a stereo file, even if those links are called different things, which in our case they are. So we commit those links. Boom. Lead high, it's a mono file. Find the link. Bam. Yep, we like it. Commit it. And lead middle, if you look, you'll see it's not called lead middle. It's called leader and best. Boom, boom. Now, if we close this Relink browser, you can see our Pro Tools session no longer has all of those light blue missing files. Great. Now, if we jump back over here to our copy folder, this is the one we're actually looking at, you'll see that these are actually all still sitting in these mystery folders. So Pro Tools now knows when it opens, it's going to find those files and in those specific folders. But that's not actually what we want. What we want is Pro Tools to look like an appropriate Pro Tools session with one audio files folder and a session folder and potentially some other folders that it auto-populates when you open a session. So we don't want these mystery folders. We just want to consolidate things. So I'm going to make sure it works. Oh, it works. Now, in the case of this particular session, we are dealing with all audio files that are, the faders are at 0 and the individual audio files are normalized. So when you play all of these together, they will absolutely distort your master output by design. So if you hit Shift Command N, you bring in your stereo, holding down Command, you tab over right twice, and then down twice, you'll get your stereo master fader there. If you add that in, not at the end preferably, you'll see you have some issues in this session. And we haven't even gotten to the kick drum yet. So in general, this is not mixed at all. There's some cool stuff here. I thought it was something fun to write, but the kick drum is not where it needs to be. The hi-hats are just screaming, and the overall mix is distorting. Some of these do have some effects on them, and some of them are more dry. So have some fun, mix, try to do a sidechain kick as the key input to a sidechain compressor on the bass. You'll have some fun with that, and there's a big halftime section where that can be modified as it builds. So that's what's going on. Now, when we're done with mixing, it's a really important point we want to do here, which is we want to consolidate this and make it into one Pro Tools session that looks and has all the correct assets all in the correct places. The way we'll do that, we'll go to File, Save, Copy, In. The key here is Items to Copy. Click Audio Files. We definitely want to copy the audio files over, and we're creating a new session. I'll hit OK. And we are creating a new session that we do not want to call copy of, but in this case, we'll call it Relinking Audio. There's some directions. Well, I can look at the actual assignment sheet here. And we will call it this. But don't just copy and paste it. Last name is your name. First name is your name. So Black Ryan, audio files, relinked. This is our new session folder, which will contain our appropriate session file and assets in the audio folder. Check it out. It's copying everything over. Boom, 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 boom. We can even go to the Finder and see all of this happening somewhere. Oh, it's making stuff. Cool. Hold on. I'll find it real quick. RB02. I don't know if I'm just missing it. There it is. RB02, Black Ryan, audio files relinked. And look at how simple this is. We have our one session file and all of our audio files, even though they're named weird things. We didn't rename the actual files on our computer. When we open this session now, so I'll go over here and close this session. Shift Command W closes the session. And I'm not going to save because I don't want it to remember all those links. But when I open this new session, and this is what I'll be checking on submissions, it should open correctly. Or it'll sit here and think. I don't know if I just crashed my computer somehow. Anyway, I'm not sure why that's not working. I'll figure out what's going on. But there we go. There we go. All right, and there it is. Got a lot running. So there's our session, the new one, opened, relinked, and working perfectly. So that's the assignment. You'll make sure you do a great mix. You want to set up a couple buses. Always, always, always have a master fader. I cannot emphasize that enough. Otherwise, especially in Pro Tools, you will hear that distortion on your master. And then do a mix, create a bounce, take a screenshot of your session with all your new linked folders in the correctly named session and session folder, right? Because you did the save copy in. And then this demo will be a link right here. A little meta. Cool. And then upload that assignment, and that is how you relink missing audio files in Pro Tools by file ID and or by file name.